After years of studying many different religions and myths, I am led to believe that most of what I have learned has too many similarities to one another that one cannot help and wonder if it all originates from one single source. From the stories of the Nephilim in the Bible, to the Greek Olympian gods and titans of Greek mythology, to the fallen angels known as the Watchers in the Book of Enoch, to the Anunnaki from the ancient Sumerians, to the Hindu Vedas, Norse and Roman mythology. There are many ancient myths that parallel to each other in every religion and culture found all over the world. The legends of gods, angels, demons, giants, heroes, flood deluges, and pretty much anything else that the mind can imagine. Many scholars are making a parallel connection between the Greek gods, Nephilim, and the fallen angels of the Genesis account. The Titans being the fallen angels, or as the Book of Enoch calls them, the Watchers, and the Greek Olympians being the Nephilim. The flood of the Bible and the Greek flood myth are remarkably similar. Is it possible that the Greek myths are not myths? Was Zeus a Nephilim? Nephilim is the Hebrew word for giants. Was his father Cronus a fallen angel called sons of God in Genesis 6? I suspect that the legends of the ancient Greeks possibly embody the truth of what really happened in the past, and that there were these strange hybrid giants that the Greeks called Titans. Atlas, Perseus, and Hercules from Greek mythology were what would be called in Hebrew Nephilim, offspring from the intermarriage of a god and earthly woman. The Legend of Giants. Genesis 6. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply upon the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives, of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with men, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, the Nephilim. And also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. The discussion of giants on earth goes much further and deeper than just this comparison. There are similarities in the biblical writings of Enoch, in Greek mythology, and ancient Sumerian texts, particularly when it comes to the Watchers. In ancient Sumeria, we find the stories of the Anunnaki. The Sumerians looked at these gods as the Watchers of Earth, showing dramatic similarities between the three ancient cultures. There is also mention of the great Sumerian ruler Gilgamesh in the Book of Enoch, who often describes the Anunnaki in much the same way that Enoch describes the Watchers. The giants, also called Jotuns in Norse mythology, are the first living beings, and the first of these giants was called Ymir, and it is from the corpse of Ymir that the world was created. A Jotun is a giant with superhuman strength who lives in the land of Jotunheim, which is one of the 9 worlds in Norse mythology. Many of these ancient legends describe the giants as having a fondness for eating human flesh. Numbers 13:32 describes the land of Canaan as a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it are men of great size. There also we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak. The sons of Anak are part of the Nephilim, and we became like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight. The giants are said to have been the progeny of angels, known as the Watchers. Some believe that these giant beings may have been the reason for the Great Flood, as they were seen to be unnatural and harmful to the human race. In classic Greek mythology, we hear stories of the Titans, the first 12 children of Gaia and Uranus, who rebelled against their father. After a hard-fought battle, the Titans were defeated by Zeus and the Olympians, and condemned into Tartarus. These legends are seen in many other cultures found all over the world. Every one of these cultures have legends of star people. These gods are demigods that came and cohabitated with women on earth and produced hybrid humans, part human, part god. In Homer's Odyssey, the hero Odysseus and his men have some close encounters with man-eating giants. Perhaps the most famous tale from the Odyssey appears when Odysseus visits the land of the Cyclops. There Odysseus and some of his men are trapped in the cave of Polyphemus, a giant cyclops who devours 6 of Odysseus's men. Eventually Odysseus flees from the cave after spearing the cyclops' eye. When Joshua and the Israelites conquered the land in 1400 BC, they either killed or drove out the giants. Joshua 11:22 tells us that there were no more Anakim left in the land, except in Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod. Those familiar with the account of David and Goliath may remember that Goliath was from Gath, 1 Samuel 17, as there were other giants mentioned in 2 Samuel 21. Since the Israelites attacked from the east, it seems very possible that some of the giants who fled would have traveled west through the Mediterranean Sea. What if some of these giants settled on some of the islands in the nearby Aegean Sea? And what if these islands just happened to be the same islands that were supposedly visited by Odysseus during his return from the Trojan War, which supposedly took place about 2 centuries after Joshua and the Israelites entered the Promised Land? Could it be that some of the myths we read about in the Odyssey actually happened in real history? The Book of Enoch is quoted in the Book of Jude, and its early chapters expand upon the fallen angel view of Genesis 6. According to 1 Enoch, 200 angels decided to marry women and sire children by them. The leaders of these angels are named, and then we are told the following. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go unto them, to defile themselves with them, and they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them, and devoured mankind. Similar ideas can be found in other ancient Jewish literature. For example, the Book of Jubilees echoes Enoch. And it came to pass when the children of men began to multiply upon the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the angels of God saw them on a certain year of this Jubilee, that they were beautiful to look upon, and they took themselves wives, of all whom they chose, and they bare unto them sons, and they were giants, and lawlessness increased on the earth, and all flesh corrupted its way, alike men and cattle, and beasts, and birds, and everything that walketh on the earth. All of them corrupted their ways, and their orders, and they began to devour each other. One of the oldest and most widespread stories of divine or an earthly intervention in human events can be found in the many great flood myths. The flood myths are found all over the world, not just in the Bible. Which story came first? The oldest documented flood myth is in the Epic of Gilgamesh. The ancient Sumerian tale was discovered on a series of clay tablets dating back thousands of years ago. Matsya, the incarnation of Lord Vishnu as a fish, forewarns Manu, a human, about an impending catastrophic flood and orders him to collect all the grains and all the living creatures to be preserved in the boat. The ancient Greeks believed in a flood myth that destroyed all mankind, similar to the account described in the Bible. In the Greek myth, the flood took place during the age of Deucalion. Zeus, atop Mount Olympus, was disgusted at the degeneration of humans, and in particular, the practice of human sacrifice. Zeus assembled the gods and decided to wipe out mankind by the force of water. Very similar to Psalms 82, Divine Council. God presides in the great assembly. He renders judgment among the gods. How long will you defend the unjust, and show partially to the wicked, defend the weak and the fatherless, uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed, rescue the weak and the needy, deliver them from the hand of the wicked? The gods know nothing, they understand nothing. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, you are gods, you are all sons of the Most High, but you will die like mere mortals. You will fall like every other ruler. Rise up, O God, judge the earth, for all the nations are your inheritance. There are many differences between the Greek flood myth and the flood described in the Bible. However, both accounts maintain that the world was destroyed as a result of mankind's sin, and the human race was saved by a few individuals leading a righteous life. Perhaps some of the similarities only exist because ancient legends were changed to accommodate or include biblical ideas. But it doesn't make any sense to conclude that the ancient Greeks only taught these ideas because they heard them from Christian missionaries. The sources for these Greek myths have been around long before Christianity. So the story of Noah is not just an event that only happened in the Bible, it's part of a much bigger story. Conclusion. There are many other similarities and possible parallels between the biblical accounts, ancient Greek mythology, Sumerian, and many other myths from all over the world. Some of these connections may be coincidental, but I highly doubt that. The Bible records the true history of our world without embellishment, while many ancient cultures preserve portions of the true history that are often obscured by legendary details. It seems as if the moral of the story is that mankind is expected to clean up their act and work together to help one another, to help save our people, animals, and everything else on this beautiful planet, Gaia.